Hi everyone. Today we're going to take a look at practice ACT test number 2. Let's see how effectively we can get through all of this for you. I thought it was a pretty straightforward practice test. Problem number 1. In a geometric sequence, the quotient of any two consecutive terms is the same. If the third term is 8 and the fourth term is 16, what is the second term? Well, that first sentence tells me that when I divide one number by the next one, I get a quotient, and that would be the same regardless of which two numbers in this sequence I divided. So, for example, a sub 4 divided by a sub 3 would be the same as a sub 3 divided by a sub 2. We know a sub 4 in this problem is 16. We know a sub 3 in this problem is 8. And we're looking for a sub 2. Well, I get 16, a sub 2 equals 64, and a sub 2 equals 4. That's choice D for number 1. 2. 2 says in the function that depends on both a and b, f of ab is defined in this interesting way, 2ab minus the sum of a plus b. And then they introduce f of 3, 4 to us. So we know everywhere we see an a, we're supposed to plug in a 3, and everywhere we see a b, we're supposed to plug in a 4. So 2 times 3 times 4 minus 3 plus 4. Or 24 minus 7, and 24 minus 7 is 17. So my choice here is G. G for number 2. Okay, number 3. Korean barbecue truck. Korean barbecue taco truck sells short rib tacos for 99 cents. Christine only has pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters in her purse. She wants to pay with exact change. What is the least number of coins she can use to buy the taco? Well, we certainly know the most number of coins is 99 because she could pay with 99 pennies. But we want the least number of coins for her to fish out. So start with the largest denomination. Those are quarters. We can get, if we're trying to make 99 cents, we could have 3 of those quarters for 75 cents. Now I notice that we have 24 cents remaining, so we couldn't have another quarter. But we could have 2 dimes, and those dimes are 10 cents each, so that's 20 cents. Now we're up to 95 cents. We want 99, so we need another 4 cents. We can't have any nickels, so we're going to have 4 pennies. So 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 4 is 9 coins, and that's choice D. Number 4. What is the area of a square with side length of 8? Well, if I have a square, I know that all the sides are the same. And if they tell me the side length is 8, the area formula for a square side square would be 8 squared, or 64. Okay, number 5. 5 says if x equals 3 in this expression, then what is this thing equal to? All right, well, we know x equals 3. We also know x plus 1 to the second over x squared minus 1. But you could certainly plug that 3 in here, or you could do some factoring canceling. So, for example, x plus 1, x plus 1, x plus 1, x minus 1, and then you've got something less to plug your 3 into. It might be easier just to plug the 3 in here and get 16 on top. 9 minus 1 is 8 on the bottom, so your result is 2. Or 3 plus 1 is 4, 3 minus 1 is 2, and you end up with 2. Either way, we end up with 2, and that's choice A for number 5. Choice A for number 5. 6. Which is not a factor of 1776? Well, I know that this number is divisible by 2 because I see that this number ends in an even number. I know that this number is divisible by 3 because 1 plus 7 plus 7 plus 6 is 8, 15, 21. And 21 is divisible by 3. So I know that 6 will go into each of these. So I'm wondering about, well, I don't know. I guess since this is a calculator test, I would just take 1776 and divide it by each of the numbers. The only one that doesn't go in evenly is 18. So H is my answer here. 7. Lawrence's history teacher needs to select one of his 19 students to lead the class in song. Lawrence's teacher decides that the song leader cannot be one of the 4 seniors. So there's only 19 minus 4, or 15 students to choose from. And Lauren is one of those students. 1 out of 15 is her probability of being chosen. 8. 8 says 4x minus 5 plus x equals 45. Then what's x equal to? Well, I distribute. I get 4x, don't forget the minus 20, plus x equals 45. I combine like terms. I get 5x minus 20 equals 45. I add 20 to both sides. I get 5x equals 65. And so x equals 13. This is choice K. K for 13. I'm sorry, K for number 8. Number 9, Joe rents a car. He's got to pay $112 flat rate, and then 99 cents per mile. Notice 99 cents per mile. That's a rate. The amount he owes goes up by this constant amount. So we're asked to write a linear expression for this. And I remember rate times time plus the initial amount is my recipe for writing a linear equation. The rate, 0.99, times the number of miles plus the initial amount is going to be my expression, and this corresponds with choice B. B for number 9. Number 10. Stella wants to buy a scooter for $4,800. Loan company says sure, pay back $130 a month for 4 years. 4 years times 12 months in a year, and she's paying back $130 per month. So years cancel and months cancel, and when I multiply these together, I get that she paid back, or she will have paid back, $6,240. The initial loan was $4,800. The difference between what the price of the scooter and what she paid back is the interest on the loan. And so I see that that's going to be $1,440, and that's choice K. K for number 10. How about number 11? The expression 20y to the 8th over 4y squared. Well, we can do some simplifying. 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 25 times. And when the bases are the same, and I'm dividing, I can subtract the exponents. So I get 5y to the 8th minus 2, or 5y to the 6th. That is choice B. Choice B for number 11. Twelve says, which of the following is equal to this complex fraction expression? Glad we did complex fractions this year. In Chapter A, we talked about making a common denominator up top and a common denominator on the bottom. So if I make a common denominator on the top, I need to multiply by 2 over 2. And if I make a common denominator on the bottom, I multiply here by 4 over 4. On top, I'm going to have 6 halves minus 1 half, which is 5 halves. And on the bottom, I'm going to have 8 fourths plus 3 fourths, or 11 fourths. I know that this is 5 halves divided by 11 fourths, which is the same as 5 halves times 4 over 11. I can do a little canceling and end up with 10 over 11, and that corresponds with choice F. Choice F for number 12. Number 13. Point C is at 3.5, and point D is 8.5 units from this. Well, I could go 8.5 in this direction, and that would be 11 plus 1, or 12, to get to D. Or I could go 8.5 in this direction, which would be 3.5 minus 8.5, or negative 5. So my choices for D are negative 5, positive 12. Negative 5, positive 12 corresponds with choice D for number 13. Number 14. The mean of 4 numbers is 7. Remember, mean means I add them all up and divide by how many numbers there are. We have 4 numbers, so we'll be dividing by 4. That mean is 7. 3 of these numbers are 2, 4, 10, and we don't know the last number. But when we add these all up and divide by 4, the result should be 7. They're asking us what the 4th number should be here. Well, let's multiply both sides by 4 and get 16 plus n equals 28. So n equals 12, and that's choice K for number 14. 15. Motorcrafts made $1.5 million in net profit in 2007, and 2009 they made even more profit. The net profit increased linearly. What was the net profit for 2008? Well, let's think about this increase in profit as a rate of change. And so I'm going to take the amount in 2009, 17,25123, minus 14,89123, and divide it by 2009 minus 2007. Well, this gives me 1180 over 2. Or, I'm sorry, that does not give me that. This is time to pull out the calculator. It gives me 236. 236,000 divided by 2, or $118,000 in profit per year. So if I take how much the profit goes up by each year and add it to the profit from 2007, I should have the profit in 2008. So 1489000 plus 118000 gives me 1607000, and that corresponds with choice A. A would be the net profit for 2008. Okay, number 16. Let's take a look at 16. 16 says the art teacher is decorating her classroom by reproducing famous pictures on her walls. She has a picture that's 8 by 10, so it's a little picture. It's 8 inches by 10 inches, and she wants to blow it up so that it is 6 feet tall. 6 feet. And we don't know how many feet wide this will be. So we can set up a proportion here using two ratios, height to width, 10 is to 8, as height is to width, 6 is to x. So I get 6 times 8 equals 10 times x. If I divide both sides by 10 inches, notice the inches will cancel. 10, I can do some canceling here. This will be 5, this will be 4. So I end up with 24 divided by 5, and the units that are left here are feet. 24 divided by 5 is 4.8 feet. And so I look for 4.8, I don't see it. I go back and read the last line of the question. Approximately how wide would the painting be in feet? Well, this is approximately 5 feet, so I'm going with F. 16. Oh, that was 16. Sorry. 16, so this is 17. 17 says the formula for the line L in standard form is 5x minus y equals 2. Which of the following gives the line in slope-intercept form? Well, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, which means we need to get y by itself. I'm going to add y to both sides in our equation so that I can have a positive y. But I want y by itself, so I'm going to have to get rid of this 2. 5x minus 2 equals y is our equation in slope-intercept form, and that's choice B for number 17. 18. The expression absolute 2 minus 14 minus absolute negative 25 is equal to what? Well, let's start in here. 2 minus 14 is negative 12. And now let's apply the absolute value to each of these. Absolute value of negative 12 is 12. Absolute value of negative 25 is 25. And there's a subtraction sign in between those. 12 minus 25 is negative 13. And that's choice J. Choice J. Okay, let's take a look at problem 19. Problem 19 says there's this triangle, J, K, L. We're told that J is 37 degrees. K is less than, the measure of angle K is less than or equal to 63 degrees. All right, well, if we add these two together, let's say K is equal to 63 degrees. 63 plus 37 is 100, and so this could be 80 degrees. But notice how it says K could be less than 63. Maybe K is 60 degrees. So then if K is 60, how big would L be? Well, 60 plus 37 is 97, so then L would be 83. Notice L can be 80 or numbers bigger than 80. So I'm looking for something that says L, the measure of angle L, is greater than or equal to, not 180, but greater than or equal to 80 degrees. And that looks like choice D here in this problem. Choice D. D for number 19. 20, and a third of the way through the packet. In only 19 minutes. 3x minus 1 greater than 26. What would be the smallest possible integer value of x? Well, if I solve this equation, or this inequality, I get 3x is less than 27, and divide by 3, and so x has to be bigger than 9. Can x equal 9? No. X has to be bigger than 9. So the smallest number that x can be, the smallest integer x can be is 10. And that's why K is my answer for number 20. Okay, for number 21, remember parallel lines cut by a transversal make congruent corresponding angles and congruent alternate interior angles. So if I know that this one is 62, then I know that this corresponding angle is 62, and I know that this corresponding angle is 62. The angle I'm looking for is this one here. Well, these form a linear pair. 62 plus our angle add up to 180. So our angle must be 118 degrees, and that's choice E. Choice E for number 21. 22. We're given a triangle. We're told that this is 8 and this is 10, and then we have a right triangle. Well, if we use our Pythagorean theorem, we can find the missing side. Hopefully we recognize, though, that this is 4 times 2, this is 5 times 2, and that this is a multiple of our Pythagorean triple 3, 4, 5. This would be 3 times 2, or 6. Or, the long way, 10 squared equals 8 squared plus I don't know squared. 100 equals 64 plus I don't know squared. 36 equals I don't know squared. We take the square root and we get that that length has to be 6. Okay, so we know that this length is 6, but our question says something a little different. It's not asking for PR, it's asking for QR. QR. And we're told that Q is the midpoint. So 6 is being divided into 2 equal pieces. So QR is 3. And so my answer here is G for 22. 23. 23 is a word problem. There's a lot of words. I notice the dots in the picture make a linear equation. I'm wondering if they're going to have me make the linear equation. I look at the big paragraph and I notice, oh, they've already made the linear equation. In the last line, they say y equals 0.1x plus 2.2. And what's this function all about? It says that the inputs are pages and the outputs are ounces. Okay. How many more ounces does a textbook of 1,056 pages weigh than one of 868 pages? Well, I want y evaluated at 1,056 minus y evaluated at 868. I end up, when I do that, with 18.8 ounces more. That's choice A. 24. 24 says, how much would a textbook of 1,338 pages weigh in pounds? Okay, so I plug 1,338 into this function. Remember, these are ounces, so we're going to have to convert. And I get 133.8 plus 2.2. That's 136 ounces. That's how much ours weighs. But we also know that 16 ounces is 1 pound. So I can cancel ounces if I divide by 16 ounces and multiply by 1 over pounds. When I do this, I get 8.5 pounds, and that's choice G. G for number 24. 25. 25 asks us to find the area of this polygon. It sort of looks like the floor plan of someone's apartment. This is 4, this is 22, this is 8, this is 10, this is 4, and this is 10. Well, look, this side is 12. This is 10. So this little piece here must be 2, because 12 needs to equal 12. And this piece here, well, I know this whole thing is 22. This is 4, and 10 is 14, plus what would make 22? We know that this must be 8 also. The reason I wanted to find these little pieces is so that I could break this up into some rectangles. This rectangle is 10 by 14, or 140. This rectangle is 10 by 2, or 20. And this rectangle over here is 8 by 4, or 32. So if I add these three up, 140 plus 32 plus 20, I get 192, and that's choice D for number 25. 26. Mr. Baylor spent 6 days grading 966 exams. He averaged 178 essays per day on the first 3 days. So 3 times 178, we're going to get a number, that's 534. He read those in the first 3 days. That leaves him with 462 remaining. He would like to finish reading these in 3 more days. So he's going to take that 462 and divide by 3 essays. Oh, I'm sorry, by 3 days, to find out how many essays per day he's got. When I do this division, I get 154 essays per day he has to read, and that's choice F for number 26. 27. 27 is just a multiplying polynomial problem. It's a little extreme foiling, minus 3y plus 2. So I'm going to multiply the y times each of these and get y to the third minus 3y squared plus 2y. And then I'm going to multiply the 1 times each of these as well. And I'm going to have y squared minus 3y and plus 2. When I combine like terms, I get y to the third minus 2y squared minus y plus 2, and that corresponds to choice C. C for number 27. 28. Which of the following has a value of 4/5? Okay, so we've got a triangle here. This is a very timely question since we're talking about trig these days. 4, 5. So if I were working with angle D, 4 and 5 would be the ratio of cosine for D. It would be 4 over 5. If I was working with F, that would be opposite. So and that would be sine. Sine of F would be 4/5. These are my two choices. Which one do we have? Oh, everything's in terms of D. So cosine D is 4/5, and that's choice H for number 28. 29. 29 says, over the weekend, Sean bought 22 songs from an online music store. He spent a total of $17.90 on contemporary songs and classical songs. If the contemporary songs cost 95 cents, classical songs cost 75 cents, how many did he buy? Well, this reminds me of the word problems we did in Chapter 7 when we were doing systems. He bought 2 types of music. He bought, let's say, X equals contemporary, and Y equals classical. And so he bought a total of 22. But we also know that the songs cost a different amount each, 95 cents for each of these contemporary ones and 75 cents, 75 cents for each of the classical ones, and he paid a total of $17.90. So you could solve this with elimination or substitution, or even, because it's a multiple choice test, do RREF with your calculator. And that's what I recommend you do. I found out that that X was equal to 7 and Y was equal to 15. So we're asked here, how many contemporary songs did he buy? Well, we said X was contemporary. He bought 7 of those. So our answer is A for number 29. Number 30. The operation X hashtag Y equals X squared minus Y squared over X plus Y. So when I see these symbols, it means do this. Put this number in for these X's, put this number in for these Y's. So if I see -3 hashtag -7, I'm supposed to plug a -3 in for the X's and a -7 in for the Y's. -3 squared minus -7 squared over -3 plus -7. That'll be 9 minus 49 over -10, which is -40 over -10, or positive 4. Let's choice G for number 30. 31. 31, Esther is making 2 1/4 gallons of punch. While mixing, she uses half a gallon of pineapple juice. What is the fraction of pineapple juice in the punch? So we want pineapple in the punch. So that gives us 1/2 divided by 2 1/4. Well, 1/2 divided by 2 1/4 is the same as 1/2 divided by 9/4, right? 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Don't forget to flip and multiply. And I end up with 2/9. 2/9 corresponds with choice C for number 31. 32. 32, point O is the center of a circle. XZ is the diameter. XZ. XZ is 8, so we know that the radii are 4 each. Y lies on the circle, so there's a point Y over here, so that XY is equal to OX, so this must also be 4. Okay, because we're intersecting a diameter, we know an inscribed angle that intersects a diameter is always intersecting half of the circle, and so this must be a 90-degree angle here. If this is 90 degrees and this is 8 and this is 4, we can use our Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side. We can say 4 squared plus question mark squared equals this whole length, 8 squared. So 16 plus question mark squared equals 64. Question mark squared equals 48. And when I take the square root of 48, that's 4 times 4 times 3, or 4 root 3, is the length of YZ. 4 root 3 is the length of YZ. And why does that say 8 root 3? Oh, I know this has to be 4 root 3. Silly me. Wait a second. Oh, what's the area? Okay, so the area of this triangle is base times height times 1/2. 1/2, 4 times 4 root 3. I was wondering why I couldn't find 4 root 3 as an answer choice. So I can do some canceling here. I get 2 times 4, or 8 root 3 is the area, and that corresponds to G for number 32. 33. 33 says, which of the following provides one of the roots for the equation y squared minus 4y minus 5 equals 7? Well, I'm going to subtract the 7 from both sides and get y squared minus 4y minus 12 equals 0. And then I'm going to factor this trinomial as y minus 6, y plus 2 equals 0. Don't forget to set each factor equal to 0. And then solve for y in each case. Y equals 6, y equals negative 2. Which are our choices? I don't see positive 6, but I do see negative 2. That's choice C for number 33. Number 34. 34 says we're supposed to find the volume of this plastic model house. It has a pyramid on top and a right rectangular prism on the bottom. Well, we know the formula for volume of that prism is length times width times height. In our problem, that would be 20 times 20 times 16. That's the volume of the rectangular base. Now, the volume of the top would be, they give us a little formula for that, 1/3 length times width times height. Well, we already know that the length times width times height is 20 times 20. But what about the height? Well, the height of the top is 12. And we want that times 3. I can do some canceling here. And I get 20 times 20 times 4. So 400 times 4, 1600. And here, when I multiply these together, 400 times 16 is 6,400. And when I add these together, I get 8,000. And that's choice G. G for number 34. Let's take a look at 35. "35 says we have an isosceles trapezoid that has some bases. The bases are 5 and 11. We're told that the area of this area is 40. And they ask what the height is. Well, remember the formula for area of a trapezoid is 1/2 height base 1 plus base 2. So if I plug my 40 in, and my base 1 and my base 2, I should be able to solve for h. 40 equals 1/2 h times 16. Half of 16 is 8. And when we divide both sides by 8, we get that the height should be 5. The height is 5, that's choice B. 36. 36 says, what is the slope of the line that passes through these points? Well, we know the slope formula is rise over run, or change in y's over a change in x's. And so I'm going to have negative 9 minus 6 over 3 minus 2, which is negative 15 over positive 5, which is negative 3, and that's choice J. 37. Right triangle W, X, Y is isosceles. Okay. Remember, in an isosceles triangle, these angles are the same. Hey, and since it's an isosceles right triangle, these must both be 45s, huh? Okay. It says that Z is collinear with X and Y, but that Y is between X and Z. So Z must be over here. They ask us to find the measure of angle WYZ. WYZ. This angle here. Well, I can see that WYZ and this angle, 45 degrees, form a linear pair. Add up to 180. 45 plus question mark equals 180. And so I get that question mark is 135 degrees. This corresponds to choice D. D for number 37. Okay, 38. We're told with 38 that 5/13 is a repeating decimal. 0.38465, and then 384,615, and 384,615, and they ask us the value of the 99th digit. Well, I don't really want to do this until I get to the 99th digit. But what I do know is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every 6, this repeats itself. So if I take 99 and divide by 6, I end up with a remainder of 3. Well, that means I'm going to go through this pattern 16 times, and then when I'm done with the 16th time, I'll have these three numbers left over. 97th, 98th, 99th. This will be the 99th digit, the number 4, and that corresponds to H for number 38. Number 38 is H. Let's take a look at 39. 39 is asking us about vector notation. In pre-cal trig, we do this in chapter 6. So I'm not sure if you'll have had the ACT test by then or not, but the math involved is pretty straightforward. We're talking about adding u, which is ai plus 5j, to v, which is 2i plus bj, and the result should be 4i minus 3j. Well, what I know when I add these together is that this plus this should equal this. ai plus 2i equals 4i. Well, if I subtract 2i from both sides, ai equals 2i, and so a must equal 2. I also know over here that these two should add up to that. So I know that 5j plus bj should be negative 3j. If I subtract 5j from both sides, I get bj equals negative 8j. And when I divide both sides by j, I get b equals negative 8. So I'm looking for the ordered pair that corresponds to a comma b, and that would be 2 comma negative 8, and that's choice B. Choice B for number 39. 40. 40 says, which of the following represents the vertical asymptote for the function y equals 3x plus 2 over 2x minus 6? Remember, we look for the denominator being equal to 0 to find that vertical asymptote where the function doesn't exist. 2x minus 6 equals 0, 2x equals 6, or x equals 3 is the vertical asymptote, and that's choice H for number 40. Number 41. Well, 41, I remember seeing this picture a lot in geometry class. They tell me that these are parallel, so I know that these are alternate interior angles, and these would be alternate interior angles, and I also know that these are vertical angles. So I've got 3 pairs of congruent angles, but I don't know anything about sides here. I don't know that these sides bisect each other. All I know is that they intersect at L. So the closest thing I can come up with this is because of angle, these 2 triangles are similar to each other, and that's choice D. D for number 41. 42. Ooh, lots of reading, and you hate that. Okay, so we're trying to raise $3,000 to fill a budget gap. We've got 2 different ways we're thinking about doing it. For the Wildcat baseball caps option, how many baseball caps would have to be sold to cover the one-time fee for renting the necessary equipment? So if I go back up and I read the Wildcat baseball caps option, it looks like there's a one-time fee of $23. So I have to figure out how many baseball caps I'm going to have to sell so that I can cover that one-time fee. Now I'm going to buy these caps for $3.50, but I'm going to sell them for $5. That means every cap is $1 in profit per cap. We're trying to make $23. So 23 should equal 150 times the number of caps. If I divide by 1.5, I end up with the number of caps should be 15 1/3. So I need to sell at least 16 caps, and that's choice H. Choice H for number 42. Okay, 43. 43 says you want to increase the price on the adult tickets by $2. Well, I don't know how much adult tickets were before, but I know that if I increase the price by $2 per ticket, and I'm selling 540 tickets, but not all of those tickets are adults. The problem says only 60% of those tickets are adults. Okay, so 60% of 540 gives me 324 adult tickets times $2 per ticket. Tickets cancel, giving me 648 additional dollars. They ask what percent of the budget cap that would be, so 648 over the $3,000 budget cap gives us approximately 22% with some rounding. 44. Wildcat department goes with the t-shirt option, and they fill the budget gap just with that. So we know they're going to make $3,000 from the t-shirts. Now the t-shirts, they're going to sell the t-shirts for $4, but they have to pay $2.25 for each of these shirts. So I think my equation is going to be 1.75s equals 3,000. Except there's this cost. Remember, we had this one-time cost associated with printing these t-shirts. So that cost was $19. So that's also going to take away from our profit. In fact, if we add that on to the other side, that's another $19 we need to make. So $3,019 with our $1.75 profit for each shirt. If I divide both sides by 175, I end up with the number of shirts should be 1,726. That's a lot of shirts. Get selling. Okay, that's choice J. 45. 45 says there's a graph of y squared equals x. That's one of those sideways parabolas. On 0 to 4, so this is 4. And if I have a 4 here, what numbers must these be that are being squared? Well, this could be positive 2, but I could also be down here at negative 2. So this question says, what's the area of triangle DEO? Well, I know that this distance is 4, this distance is 2, this distance is 2, and this is a right angle. So I can do 1/2 base times height. 2 plus 2 is 4, and I get an area of 8. That's choice C for number 45. 46. 46 says, how long is YZ? Well, I notice I don't have a right triangle here. I do have an opposite side angle pair, and that tells me that I'm going to be using the law of sines in this problem. The law of sines in this problem. So I take my opposite pair and say the sine of 53 over 12 equals the sine of 68 over, I don't know how big YZ is. And I want to solve for question mark. If I cross multiply, I get 12 sine 68, and then divide to get question mark alone. And I get that question mark is 12 sine 68 over sine 53. And when I did that in my calculator, I came up with K as my answer. K for 13.9. That would be my answer to number 46. And I think I'm going to change out pens. 47. 47 says, use the quadratic equation to find the solutions to this equation. X equals 3 plus or minus square root negative 16c squared. Which of the following gives expressions as complex numbers? Okay, so we have to simplify this expression. We know that this is 3 plus or minus square root of negative 1 times square root of 16 times square root of c squared. And so that's going to be 3 plus or minus I times 4 times c, or 3 equals 4c, 3 plus or minus 4ci. That corresponds with choice C for number 47. 48. 48, we're given a circle. We're given a radius. No, we're not. We're given a chord, and we're told that chord CD is 12. We know this is 12. We know there's a center at O. And what else do we know? We know that CD, this arc, is 60 degrees. That means that this central angle must be 60 degrees. Well, if I draw in this perpendicular, not only does it cut CD into 6 and 6, but it cuts my 60-degree angle into 30 and 30. So now I have a 30, 60, 90-degree triangle where the short leg is 6. They're asking me for the length of the diameter, so I want the hypotenuse. Whether I use trig, opposite and hypotenuse, sine of 30 equals 6 over hypotenuse, or if I use my shortcuts from geometry, where I know in a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, the short leg times 2 is the hypotenuse, I should find out that OD is 12. So I know the radius is 12. This question, though, is asking me about the diameter. The diameter wouldn't be 12. The diameter would be 2 radii, or 24. The diameter is 24, and that's why choice J is my answer for 48. 49. 49 says you've got some nylon cord. You're stretching it from the top of a pole to a place on the ground. You've got 25 feet of cord, and it makes a 19-degree angle, not up here with the pole, but with the ground. Which expression gives the horizontal distance in feet from the base of the pole to the point where the cord is attached to the ground? Okay, so I know that I have adjacent and hypotenuse here. Cosine of 19 equals x over 25. And if I want what that distance, how far from the base the cord is attached to the ground, I'll multiply both sides by 25. I notice here that corresponds with choice E. Choice E for number 49. Okay, let's take a look at 50 as we enter the last 10 problems. 50 says the equation of the circle, x squared plus 8x plus y squared minus 2y plus 8 equals 0. And this is that opportunity that we talked about on the second day of school this school year, where we had to do completing the square twice. Remember to isolate the x's and y's by moving this 8 to the other side. So my setup looks like this. And then I have to remember that the magic amount that I add to both sides to complete the square is b over 2 squared. My b value here is 8. 8 divided by 2, I'm adding 4 squared, or 16. In this case, b divided by 2, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and so I'd end up adding negative 1 squared, or adding 1 to both sides. Now, when I factor this, I end up with x plus 4 squared. And when I factor this, I end up with y minus 1 squared. And over here, I have 8 plus 1 is 9. This question asks me, though, for the center of the circle. And the center of the circle is located at negative 4, positive 1. There's the x-coordinate of the center. There's the y-coordinate of the center. Remember, our equation normally has minuses in there. What must I have put in for h so that this minus turned into a plus? I must have plugged in a negative 4. Plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay, so there's our center, and that corresponds with choice F. Choice F for number 50. Let's take a look at 51. More reading. Scott's swimming pool has a depth of 8 feet and holds 13,000 gallons when it's full. In the warm weather, 10% of the pool evaporates each day. Okay, so I know you know what? This reminds me of those exponential decay problems. He loses 10% every day. And he starts off with 13,000 gallons. So 13,000.9 to the t equals the number of gallons in the pool. It says, how long will it be until he has half, less than half? So half of 13,000.9 to the t. Well, if I divide both sides by 13,000, I end up with 1/2 equals 0.9 to the t. And then I want to solve for t, so I'm going to take the ln of both sides, but I can use my power rule to bring that t down in front. I'll have ln of 1/2 equals t ln of 0.9. When I divide by ln of 0.9 on both sides, I end up with 7. Well, I end up with 6.578, but that's approximately 7. Now look, it's going to take this many days to get to half full, and he wants to know how long it'll be less than half full. Well, it'll be a little more than this, or 7 days. And that's choice, not choice 7, but choice C for problem number 51. 52. Let's take a look at 52. 52 asks us to find the determinant of a little 2 by 2. We remember that to find the determinant, we do A times D minus B times C. That's going to be 27 minus 20, or positive 7, and that's choice H. 53. 53 gives us a square with a bunch of circles inside, and these circles are tangent to each other and tangent to the square. They tell us that the side of the square is 24 inches, so this is 24, which means this is 24. If I've got two circles here, I know that each of them has a diameter of 12, which means the radius of each of these circles must be 6. So what's the area of one of these circles? Well, formula for area of a circle is pi r squared, so I get 36 pi. And that corresponds to D, D for number 53. Okay, number 54. Andy has been collecting comic books. He's got 30 comic books. He wants to know when he'll sell the books when he makes $600 more than he paid for them. Okay, so I can think of a number of ways to do this problem. He bought them for $28.95, and there are 30 of them. And he can get a number for this. And he wants to sell when they are $600 more than that number. So if I think about $28.95 times 30, I end up with 868.5. That's what he paid for them. He wants to sell them for $600 more. So he wants to sell them for $1468.50. But that means each one has to be plus 600 divided by 30, 48.95 each. Those must be some good comic books. Now, how much will the price have risen? Well, he paid $28.95. How much more will the value have risen when he sells? Oh, no. So we're not comparing with the original price. We're comparing with the current value, $34.35. The difference between these being $14.60, and that's choice A. Choice A for number 54. 55. 55 says we've got a whole bunch of circles here. Oh my goodness. Circle. I guess we don't have a whole bunch of circles. We've just got a whole bunch of lines. Line through the center. Line through the center. Wow. All right. So we're told that the diameter of this circle is 18. Which means that this is 9, and this is 9, and this is 9. And that this whole length over here would be 9, from here to here. We're told that the diameter of this circle is 10. So this is 5, and this is 5, and this whole thing would be 5. But we know this overlap is 3. So this little piece must be 2. We've already used this 3 in this other circle, so I'm not going to double count that 3. So my length then is 9 plus 9 plus 2 plus 5. 9 plus 9 plus 2 plus 5 to go from B to D, which is what they're asking us for, and I get 25 for that. 25 for that. And that corresponds with choice B for number 55. 56. Parabola with a vertex at -3, -2. There's the vertex. Crosses the y-axis at 0, -2, plus 3 root 3, but it must also be negative 2 minus 3 root 3 because of symmetry. If this is negative 2 plus 3 root 3, so there's my negative 2, and I'm going up 3 root 3, I must also go down 3 root 3. So J would be my solution for the second y-intercept of this sideways parabola. I knew it was going to be a sideways parabola when I saw y equals negative 2 is the axis of symmetry. Okay, 57. 57 says some stuff so we don't have to worry, so don't worry about it. 3z is 4 minus z plus 3z z plus 4 z minus 4. Well, I'd like these both to have the same denominator so I can add them. And this is close to that, but it's off by a negative. If I factor out a negative, I have the z minus 4 that this one has. But I need that other factor, z plus 4, on top and bottom. So on top, when I distribute, I'm going to have minus 3z squared minus 12z plus 3z over z plus 4, z minus 4. When we combine like terms on top, we get negative 3z squared minus 9z over z squared minus 16. This corresponds with choice E. Choice E for number 57. Okay, we're on the last page. Let's take a look at those last three questions. These last three questions, number 58. Number 58 says, oh, how current. Here's theta. Here's the point A, B, which means that this is B and that this is A. So there's theta. And then they say, well, what's the tangent of theta plus pi? Well, remember, pi is halfway around the unit circle. If I add pi to this angle, I'm going to end up down here. So they're asking me, what's the tangent of this angle? Well, I know because of symmetry, and that tangent's an odd function, that this would be negative a, and this would be negative b. And so the tangent of this angle would be negative b over negative a, or b over a. And that corresponds to choice H. 59. 59 says arithmetic sequence a sub n equals a sub 1 plus tn minus d. Please solve this equation for d. Okay, well, I'm going to start here with these d's, and no, I'm going to start with a sub 1 and get rid of it because I want the d's by themselves. So I'm going to subtract a sub 1 from both sides. So I'll have a sub n minus a sub 1 equals dn minus d. No, I'm not going to try and do anything with these subscripts. No, this isn't factoring. But over here, there's factoring. I can factor a d out of each of these, and I'll be left with n minus 1. Remember, d divided by d is not 0. D divided by d is 1. I'd like to solve for d, so I need to divide by n minus 1. d then equals a sub n minus a sub 1 over n minus 1, and that's choice A. Okay, finally 60. Our last problem says we've got a deck of cards, and we want to draw a 10, jack, queen, king, ace. 10, jack, queen, king, ace. We want them in that order. Well, how many different ways could you arrange that? Well, if it has to be in this order, and they all have to be the same suit, then there's only one way we can get this with clubs, and only one way for spades, and only one way for diamonds, and only one way for hearts. So there's only 4 successes here. But how many choices do we have? Well, we have 54 for the first card we pick, and then we picked a card, so we've got 53 for the second card we pick. The third card we pick would bring this down to 52, the fourth card 51, and the fifth card 50. So this is my probability of getting 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace in a suit. This is a very small probability. Do not wager your money on this bet. Okay, so our answer is H, and that's the end of the packet. I hope this was helpful. Have a great night.